Have you ever stopped to wonder why despair hides itself so well in the hearts of women? When men fall into poverty, you can see the signs instantly. The stoop of their shoulders, the aimless wandering, the endless miles walked with no destination. His defeat is written across his body. But women, my friend, women conceal despair with an art so subtle that the world rarely sees it. And that, precisely, is why you must listen with your heart open today. For if you understand the hidden despair of women, you will also understand the hidden despair of men. And once you understand despair, you can transform it into strength. Are you listening? Because what you're about to hear could change the way you view failure forever. I have walked through the streets where men without hope wander like shadows of themselves. I have seen the bread lines, the library benches, the railroad stations where they sit only to steal a bit of heat. Their clothes may still be fine from the days when they worked, but their posture betrays them. A man who has lost his fight cannot disguise the droop of his body. Can you picture it? Because once you can, you'll never forget it. Now pause and ask yourself, where are the women? You do not see them in the bread lines. You do not see them begging with outstretched hands. Their despair is silent, invisible, and that silence is deadly. Perhaps they vanish into dark corners of life. Perhaps they choose escape in the most permanent form. The tragedy is that they suffer, but they suffer out of sight. Doesn't that make you wonder how many lives are quietly wasting away while the world remains blind? But let us not stop here. Let us examine the true enemy. Do you know what separates the man walking with shoulders drooped from the man walking with pride? It is not strength. It is not intellect. It is not even virtue. It is simply money. Money makes the difference. Think about that. With a little money in his pocket, the same man would stand tall again. His shoulders would straighten, his eyes would shine, and his courage would return. That is the brutal truth. Money is not everything, but it changes everything. Have you ever felt how quickly your confidence returns? The moment your financial situation improves, you suddenly believe in yourself again. You feel worthy again. And yet, when your pockets are empty, doubts multiply. This is not weakness, it is the conditioning of society. Do you see how dangerous this cycle is? Employers know this, and some of them exploit it with ruthless cruelty. They dangle colored cards in agencies offering wages so pitiful they insult the very dignity of man. $12 a week, $15 a week, an $18 job becomes a prize, when in truth it is a mockery. I have seen want ads that offer a clerk $8 a month for 3 hours of work, day 11 cents an hour. And as if poverty were not enough, the ad demanded state religion. Do you feel the sting of that humiliation? To be stripped of dignity, and then to have your faith questioned for the privilege of starvation wages? This, my friend, is what despair looks like in real life. But despair is not the deepest poison. No. There is a greater enemy, one so subtle it has paralyzed more dreams than poverty itself. That enemy is the fear of criticism. Stop here and let that thought strike you. Poverty wounds the body, but criticism poisons the soul. Which one would you fear more? Criticism follows us from childhood. Parents who scold, teachers who ridicule, neighbors who gossip. Every word digs into the mind until fear becomes second nature. And when fear settles, initiative dies. How many people live with brilliant ideas in their hearts, only to bury them because they fear what others will say? Do you realize how many fortunes have been lost to silence? I have watched men and women twist their lives into shapes they despised, just to avoid criticism. Look around you. Do you see men wearing tight hats that choke their hairlines into baldness? They wear them not out of need, but out of fear of criticism. Everyone else wears a hat, so they follow. Women are no different. Ask any woman to walk proudly in a hat from 1890 and watch how her courage melts. Do you see now how the smallest habits of our lives are dictated not by need, not by comfort, but by fear of what others will say? And the manufacturers know this. They change the style of clothes not because the old ones are unfit, but because they know you fear being outdated. They change the model of automobiles not because the old ones fail, but because they know no man wishes to be seen in yesterday's design. So the fear of criticism makes slaves of us all. Isn't it remarkable how chains are forged without iron, only with opinion? But the tragedy runs deeper. It is not merely about hats or cars. This fear reaches into the deepest chambers of human belief. There are men and women today who no longer believe in the old myths of ghosts and dogmas. Yet they keep silent. They nod. They pretend. They conform. Because they fear criticism. They will even tell a lie about what they believe rather than admit the truth. Do you see the power of this fear? It robs man of his voice. It chains him to illusions. It keeps him in bondage even in the age of science and discovery. History is filled with martyrs who were burned for daring to speak truth. Do you think such memories do not linger in our subconscious? Of course they do. We inherit the memory of punishment, and so we shrink from criticism as if it were death itself. And in shrinking, we lose imagination. We lose courage. We lose ourselves. Now let me ask you something very personal. Have you ever silenced yourself because of what others might say? Have you ever hidden your talent, your idea, your dream, because you feared being laughed at? If you have, then you know the grip of this fear. And if you do not break it, it will rob you of the best years of your life. I once knew a boy whose mother scolded him every day, ending her punishment with the words, "You will land in prison before you are 20." And so it was. At 17, he was sent away. Do you see the curse of constant criticism? Words are powerful, and when repeated, they shape destiny. That is why unnecessary criticism is not just unkind, it is a crime of the spirit. Employers who understand human nature never lead with criticism. They inspire with suggestion. Parents who understand children guide with encouragement. But those who criticize plant seeds of fear or rebellion never love. Remember this well. Criticism destroys, suggestion builds. And if you wish to master yourself, you must learn to silence the voice of criticism inside you as well as around you. So I leave you with this challenge. The next time fear of criticism whispers in your ear, recognize it for the thief it is. It seeks to rob you of initiative, to destroy your courage, and to keep you bound in mediocrity. Will you surrender to it, or will you rise above it? The choice, as always, is yours. The fear of criticism is not only a thief of courage, it is the silent destroyer of opportunity. Every day, men and women bury their talents beneath the soil of doubt, leaving the world poorer because of what they might have given. Think about that for a moment. How many inventions, how many masterpieces, how many fortunes have been lost forever simply because someone was afraid of laughter? Pause and let that sink in. Have you ever silenced yourself because you feared ridicule? That hesitation, my friend, is more dangerous than failure itself. Failure can teach. Criticism, when feared, can paralyze. I have stood in rooms filled with men of great ideas who whispered their thoughts only in private. Why? Because they dared not speak aloud. They feared their neighbors. They feared their colleagues. They feared their own families. And so they shrank into silence while their dreams withered. Can you see how tragic that is? This fear is inherited, cultivated, and passed along like a curse. From childhood, many of us are told, "Don't say that, people will laugh. Don't try that, you will fail." These phrases, repeated over years, sink into the subconscious and become chains that hold us prisoner. How many chains are wrapped around your own mind? You may not realize it, but every time you hesitate to act, because of what people might say, you are surrendering your power. Every time you postpone a decision for fear of judgment, you give away your freedom. Isn't that terrifying to admit? Consider the masses who cling to fashions, to trends, to customs not because they believe in them, but because they dread being out of line. They buy what they cannot afford. They drive what they do not need. They pretend to believe what they cannot accept, all because of criticism. Do you recognize yourself in this picture? If you do, do not be ashamed. You are not alone. But now that you see it, will you continue to live bound by it? History tells us that the greatest leaders were always criticized first. Columbus was ridiculed for dreaming of another world. The Wright brothers were mocked for imagining flight. Edison was laughed at when he spoke of lighting the world with electricity. Yet each of these men pressed forward, because they valued their vision more than the opinions of the crowd. Are you willing to do the same? Criticism, when accepted, is worse than chains. It kills the spirit. It silences the imagination. It turns a bold creator into a timid imitator, and imitation is death to greatness. Ask yourself, are you living as your true self, or are you merely imitating what society expects? Let me remind you of something vital. Every critic eventually grows silent, but the echo of your lost chances never does. Imagine lying on your deathbed remembering not the risks you took, but the dreams you abandoned. Would you not give anything to go back and try? Then why wait? Why let fear of criticism steal years from you now? But here lies the paradox. While fear of criticism is powerful, it is not invincible. The first step in conquering it is awareness. The moment you recognize that your hesitation is not caused by real danger, but by imagined opinion, you begin to weaken its grip. Are you beginning to see that? The second step is to act in spite of fear. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is action in the face of fear. Every time you act despite criticism, you grow stronger, and the critic grows weaker. Which side will you strengthen today? Parents must understand this truth. Criticism does not build character, it destroys it. Suggestion, encouragement, belief. These build strength. I once watched a teacher transform a struggling student, not by condemning him but by telling him, "I believe you can." That simple phrase turned a failure into a leader. Can you imagine the power of offering belief instead of criticism? Employers who master this principle build empires. Those who criticize, belittle, or mock their workers create resentment and mediocrity. Those who inspire create loyalty, innovation, and greatness. Which type of leader do you wish to become? The same rule applies to the home. A child who grows under constant criticism grows up timid or rebellious. A child who grows under faith and encouragement grows confident and daring. The choice lies in the words spoken daily. Think carefully. Are your words building courage or planting fear? But let us return to the individual, you. Fear of criticism may already have stolen years from your life. But from this moment, you can reclaim them. Begin by identifying one area of your life where you have remained silent, hidden, or hesitant because of others' opinions. Bring it to light. Acknowledge it. Then take one small step today toward action. That step will be the spark that ignites your courage. Remember this truth. Critics are forgotten, but creators are remembered. No one recalls the names of those who laughed at Edison. Everyone remembers the man who gave us light. The world never remembers the mockers. It remembers the makers. Which side will you stand on? Do not think this transformation will come without resistance. The critic's voice is stubborn. It will whisper in your ear every time you reach for more. It will tell you that you are foolish, unworthy, unprepared. But remember, that voice is not truth. It is only fear disguised as wisdom. Will you fall for its disguise, or will you see through it? And let us not forget, criticism is often the weapon of the weak. A thief criticizes the man from whom he steals. A politician criticizes his opponent instead of proving his own worth. A coward criticizes the brave to excuse his own inaction. Once you see this, criticism loses its sting. Would you let the weak control your destiny? The next time someone criticizes your dream, pause and ask yourself, is this the voice of courage or the voice of fear? If it is fear speaking, ignore it. For fear cannot build, it can only destroy. And why should you allow destruction to govern your life? Here is the final truth for today. The fear of criticism robs men of independence. It silences the bold, and it wastes the gifts of countless lives. But the cure lies within you. Each time you choose to act, to speak, to create despite criticism, you break a chain. Break enough chains and you will walk free. Do you want that freedom? Then begin now. Freedom, my friend, is not given. It is seized. And the chains that bind most men are not of iron, but of opinion. They live not according to their own desires, but according to the whispers of others. And so they march through life shackled by invisible chains, slaves to judgment, prisoners of conformity. But you were not born to be a prisoner. You were born to be free. Think deeply about this. Every great advancement in history was made by someone who dared to defy the opinions of the crowd. The crowd mocked Galileo for declaring the earth revolved around the sun. They laughed at Pasteur for believing in germs. They ridiculed Ford for envisioning a car for every family. But the laughter of the crowd did not stop the march of progress. Will you let it stop you? The greatest prison on earth is the fear of, what will they say? That single question has silenced more voices, strangled more dreams, and buried more ambitions than war, famine, and poverty combined. How many times have you delayed a decision, not because you lacked knowledge, not because you lacked power, but because you feared disapproval? How many times have you betrayed your own heart just to win acceptance from others who were themselves lost? Look around you. You will see men and women living half-lives, not because they lack opportunity, but because they lack courage to face criticism. They choose safety over greatness, imitation over originality, silence over truth. And in doing so, they wither long before they die. Is that the destiny you want? Mark my words, no critic ever built a monument. No mocker ever wrote a masterpiece. No scoffer ever carved a path to glory. The crowd remembers only the daring, only the bold, only the ones who chose authenticity over approval. Ask yourself, which side of history will you stand on? There is a law of life that cannot be ignored. The one who fears criticism will always be ruled by those who do not. The one who craves approval will forever be enslaved by those who deny it. The one who trembles at laughter will never hear the applause of victory. Is this the exchange you wish to make? Freedom for acceptance, greatness for approval, destiny for comfort? Consider the young man who dreams of starting a business. His heart burns with ideas, his mind races with plans, but when he confides in his friends, they laugh. It will never work, they say. Don't be foolish. And so he folds his dream away, tucks it deep into the drawer of his soul, and returns to the safe, dull path of mediocrity. The years pass, the dream dies, and the man wonders why life feels empty. Do you see how cruel fear of criticism is? Now consider another man. He too dreams. He too is laughed at, but instead of retreating, he moves forward. Each laugh becomes fuel, each sneer becomes fire, each doubt becomes motivation. And though the road is hard, though the critics never cease, he pushes forward until one day the same world that mocked him bows before his achievement. Which man will you choose to be? Let me tell you a secret. Critics do not laugh at you because you are foolish. They laugh because your courage exposes their cowardice. Your boldness reveals their timidity. Your dreams shine a light on the darkness of their own neglected ambitions. And so they laugh to hide their pain. Will you let their pain destroy your future? You must understand this clearly. Criticism is temporary, but regret is eternal. The laughter of others fades quickly, but the silence of your own abandoned dreams echoes forever. What is worse, to endure a moment of laughter or a lifetime of regret? And let us be honest, those who criticize you today will not even remember you tomorrow. Their laughter is cheap, their judgment fleeting. But your actions, your creations, your boldness, those can outlive centuries. Whose opinion matters more? The fleeting crowd or the eternal record of history? The remedy for this fear lies not in avoiding criticism, but in embracing it. Every time you are criticized, smile. Say to yourself, "This means I am on the path of the bold." For the crowd never criticizes the ordinary, it only criticizes the extraordinary. If they are laughing at you, it means you have dared to rise above them. Is that not a victory in itself? Take this principle into your daily life. If you dream of writing, write boldly, even if they laugh. If you dream of speaking, speak with fire, even if they mock. If you dream of building, build with all your might, even if they predict your failure. For every great achievement was once called impossible. Every triumph was once a target of ridicule. And every visionary was once a fool in the eyes of the blind. But here is the deeper truth. The more you act in defiance of criticism, the stronger you become. Courage is a muscle, and like all muscles, it grows only when exercised. Each time you rise above ridicule, you lift heavier weights of bravery. Each time you face laughter, you stretch your soul further into greatness. Will you exercise this muscle or let it wither through inaction? Think also of the legacy you will leave. Your children, your family, your community. They will not remember the opinions you obeyed, but the actions you took. They will not celebrate your caution, but your courage. They will not follow the critic's voice, but the trail you blazed. What inheritance do you want to leave? The chains of fear or the gift of freedom? It is time to decide. You cannot serve both fear and destiny. You cannot bow to criticism and rise to greatness. You must choose one. Will you live for the crowd, or will you live for your calling? Will you bend to laughter, or will you stand for truth? Will you die with your song still inside you, or will you sing it boldly no matter who mocks? The moment you answer these questions honestly, the fear of criticism begins to crumble. The critic's voice grows faint. The laughter loses its sting, and the chains that once held you dissolve like smoke in the wind. You walk lighter. You stand taller. You live freer. And most importantly, you begin to live as yourself. Do not delay this decision. Every day you hesitate, fear grows stronger. Every day you wait, critics claim another victory over your life. Every day you postpone, your dreams sink deeper into the soil of neglect. Will you allow another day to be stolen? Or will you rise now and claim the life that belongs to you? The truth is simple. Greatness demands courage, and courage demands defiance of criticism. If you wish to achieve, you must accept that laughter will follow you, that doubt will surround you, that mockery will pursue you. But you must also accept that triumph lies beyond that laughter, glory lies beyond that doubt, and immortality lies beyond that mockery. Will you take that journey? Remember this above all. The world does not need another imitator. It does not need another silent, fearful soul. It needs your voice, your vision, your courage. And if you do not give it, the world will never know what it lost. Do not let fear steal that from us. Do not let criticism bury your gift. Rise, speak, create, build, no matter who laughs. For when you do, you walk the path of the great.